Very beneficial. There's a better look at it. And does anybody know what that is?
Exactly.
Praying man's egg case.
Is it? I can kill the one who are ass.
Yeah. You and most people have been killing them because they think they're an ass.
Yeah.
I went to visit a friend of mine. He'd been reading organic gardening and farming since the beginning. We was walking out to his garden, and there was one on a mesquite peach branch about that big. He broke it off, threw it on the ground, stomped on it. I said, gee, you know what you just did? Yeah, I killed an ass. I said, no, that wasn't an ass. And I explained it to him. That happens all the time. Now, how you can tell the difference? They look like an ass. And if an ass bites you, they hurt. Big time. If you're not sure, take a stick and touch it. If it's hard, and you can't push it off the branch, leave it alone. An ass will have a pretty hair. Like that. There's an ass. See that beautiful hairdo? And they'll be soft and spongy and they crawl real slow. One of our employees walked under a hackberry limb and one fell here and hit his ear, and he said, Malcolm, that thing hurt for 6 hours. Nothing you can do about it. My mom reached around, opened the chicken pen gate, rubbed one right here, put her in bed for 2 days. And I was out going through my fig trees, and I had a little bit of brown one right here and didn't know it. It's been there quite a while, because when I got through eating supper, I went to sit down in an easy chair and I was reading the paper, and for some reason I rubbed right here against that booger, and it got me. And it hurt. There's nothing you can do about it. It hurts. And the pain went in my joints and everywhere. And look at her. Black Widow. She helped win World War II though. Don't fuss at her too much. I've always heard, well actually in fact I read it, when I had enough money to finally put a scope on my 30-30, and a little pamphlet came with it, this is years ago, and he said the crosshairs were made out of Black Widow spider web. Well, I had a group like this somewhere, I forget where it was, and I mentioned that fact, and there was an old man in the crowd. He was about 80-some years old. He said, Beck, let me tell you my story. He said, during World War II, he said, it was my job to find black widows and hold them a certain way and tickle them, and they start making web, and I had to keep pulling them at a certain real steady. If I pulled too fast, it got too thin. If I stopped, it'd make a knot. And then another guy come along with like a tuning fork and glue it tight, and then they glue it into a scope. See that? It could take the recoil and never break. It was the strongest material they had at the time. Take the recoil of a high-powered rifle and not break. It would not break. Okay, there's the brown recluse. She is a bad one. That black widow hurts and hurts, but it's very seldom fatal. This one you won't feel anything, but you'll have a chunk of meat about this big around rot out. I mean, they can really get bad. And you tell her by the violin, or she's shaped like a violin, or that violin on her back. And it's called brown recluse because it is very recluse. If you got a bunch of junk stacked up in the corner of the shed somewhere in the garage or even in the room that you haven't been into in a long time, don't go sticking your hands around in there because that's where they hide.
How big is it?
This is a slide that goes under a microscope. What are they? A little over ½ inch, 5/8. So you see, she's not very big.
Extremely fast.
Extremely fast.
Very fast. They don't have to feed once a year too. So don't think they're dead just because they're starved.
And mud daubers. They love black spiders. Very beneficial. And well, I thought I had some more, but let me go back to the mud daubers. We used to keep bees a long time ago, and a new swarm came out, and they don't like to catch them, and she told me, go clean me up a box while I put on my protective stuff. And I went in the shed, and I got an old bee box. When I took the lid off, there was a mud dauber's nest up in the corner. And was full of spiders. There was 77 spiders that mud dauber had sealed in all these chambers. 66 of them were black widows. Out of 77.
Oh my.
I felt real bad about breaking that thing open. Well, I was giving this talk someplace, and there was a lady in the crowd when I started talking about the spiders. She got all excited, and she introduced herself as Dr. So-and-so. She was an arachnist. She was a PhD on spiders. She says, when I go into an environment, and I want to see what type of spiders are in that environment, she said, if I can find a mud dauber's nest, and it's no longer sealed over, she said, I'll just take it off and study those spiders, because mud dauber just eat the leg muscles before they eat the mud dauber larvae. Just eat the leg muscles. They leave the spider intact. A lot of times they'll even still be alive. She said, if I can find a big mud dauber's nest, I can tell you exactly what spiders are in this environment. She says, I told her about the one I opened, there's 77 spiders, 66 of them were black widows. She says, I beat you. She said, I opened the nest, and every spider in it was a brown recluse.
Wow.
So don't knock the mud daubers down. They prefer black widows or brown recluse, the only two dangerous spiders we have. The rest are harmless. So let the mud daubers alone. And that's harlequin bug eggs. There'll always be 2 rows of 5, 10 in a group, usually. Sometimes I see this. They're just like little barrels. See where the space comes across the top? You see the hooks where the cork is? They're pretty. And there they are hatching. And there's that female again. She's a beauty. Surfer fly. And there's my beauty. Flowers. And another beauty. Tell you what, get you a bug book and just start studying insects. There's no end. I think science has already cataloged 1 million species, and they said if they ever got them all cataloged, there'd be 10 million species. And of all the insects that get cataloged, only 1% are considered troublesome or dangerous. Only 1%. So every time you got 100, there's only one bad guy. And termites. Now in your house they're no good, but then out on the farm or out on the, they're eating up that old grass, and you're going to make compost out of it, put it back in the soil. And I think y'all know what that is. Webworms. When I was a kid, they were extremely rare. Every now and then you'd see one. It'd be so high up I didn't even know what it was. All of a sudden they took over. And I found out why they took over. When they came out with that aerosol can that you could knock down a wasp nest, they took over. I suspected that, and I got proof of it. One day I was giving a talk over in Seguin, and I mentioned that the wasps prey on these things. But if you take a stick and tear the web open, then the wasp can easily get in there. Otherwise, they can't get to them. Webworm feeds at night when the wasps are asleep. And they sleep in that web during the day. That gives them protection from the wasps and the birds. He said, if you just take a stick and tear that thing open, he says they'll find it.